several clinics and one impromptu clinic.
Okay, cool. What did you notice about their skiing? What did you design as a task, and how did it make a change?
Well, the last impromptu clinic, they wanted to work on teaching.
Cool.
So I had the individuals choose a thing that they are working on in their own skiing.
Okay.
Okay, an example is one of them was working on trying to get, ski to ski pressure and directing pressure to the outside ski was the fundamental they were working on. And they chose to start with step turns. So their feet were continuously moving as they arc through the turn.
So
And
a
then I
thousand
had the
steps.
group,
Okay.
then I became part of the group, and then we all chose how to modify that group, how to modify that task. And when you modified it, we needed to have some kind of outcome. So what we
Okay.
did is we took the rapidity, the rapid step
Recording in
turns,
progress.
then we slowed them down considerably so that they could actually feel them.
Oop. Sorry, Mike, I muted you by mistake.
I'm unmuted.
There you go. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. And then what we did is we started to combine some pieces. So we took the step turns and we started them with the skate. So, in other words, if you wanted to do a right turn to start, we would skate to the right. And so you had to get a commitment down the hill. Then we had to work with patience because once the turn got started, we had to be patient till we hit the fall line. And once we were in the fall line, we didn't want to lock up, and then we stepped sideways. Then we completed the turn, and then we had to step to start the new turn.
Okay. Cool.
And so what happened when we got done with it is there was a suppleness that started to come into everybody's skiing because the legs were moving. And because we had the thoughts of starting a turn with a skate, we had this commitment forward along the length of the ski and down the hill. And because we didn't want to lock up in the apex, that is in the fall line part of the turn, we wanted to keep suppleness there. We added a sideways step. And so in the end, we all wound up making pretty comfortable round turns because we were spending more time in the fall line, less time on the finishes because it was a fairly quick finish so we could start the new turn. But nobody locked their outside leg up. They kept the outside leg bent enough to keep weight directed to the outside leg.
Cool. Cool. Anybody got any questions on that? I mean, that was a pretty thorough
Mike,
description and
how are
justification.
you doing this step in the fall line? Were you on your outside ski and then you were stepping to the inside ski when you did like a
Nope.
parallel?
When we hit the fall line, so here's this turn. Okay, so the first step was down the hill. Now I'm in the fall line. Then we stepped sideways to create a arc
Oh,
on the
with the outside
outside.
ski. You
Yeah,
step
most people
sideways with the
step to
outside
the
ski.
inside.
Yeah.
So I challenged them by saying, let's step to the outside. And the goal
Mhm.
is to step to the outside in the fall line. You don't want to step into a wedge. So it was a parallel step, and then you complete the turn. But by making that parallel step, you have such a heavy commitment on the outside foot because that's where we were going with it to commit to direct pressure to the outside foot. And you're flexed on it to keep you there, makes it really easy to complete that turn and you can't stay on it because you got to skate off for the next turn.
Can I ask a question, Mike? When you started this task, did you find that they were like super late in turning?
We started the task with actually really quick steps. And the first thing that we noticed is when people are making really quick steps, if they're not moving down the hill, when they need to go to the right, instead of starting with the right foot, they would step out with the left foot and stem it. And so we slowed things down so that when they had to go right, they would start with the right foot. And if we had to go left, we would start with the left foot. And so we didn't actually step out into a wedge. And this allowed us to keep things moving down the hill without rotating the upper body. And if you
Was it?
think about it, if step down the hill, that's a skate, that's also a reverse javelin, which opens your body, opens your pelvis, opens everything up to go down
Down.
the mountain.
How,
Hmm.
and at what level, like, are they beginner, intermediate?
These are people working that just completed their level two and are starting to work on level three.
It's
These were
not,
instructors.
it's not an
Oh, okay.
easy, it's
Oh,
not an
okay.
easy
Yeah.
maneuver,
Right.
is it, Mike? I
I,
mean, sometimes it's hard to make that move. I found it's easier to push off with the opposite foot that you need to
Yep.
make that turn. And so it's more difficult than it
And
looks.
it's challenging because you're changing which step, which foot is leading a lot of times. And so we discovered some of us had problems remembering our right from our left. So if we would start the turn with the left step to take us down the hill, the next step was to the right because we were going to the outside, where when you would normally do step turns, you step to the inside. It was actually a lot of fun. And then we took it into some off-piste.
Hmm.
I did that with Jen Metz, and she started off on really easy, almost flat terrain to do the stepping process until we got our confidence, and we were successful only because we started on really easy terrain.
Cool.
I saw a hand up, Chuck.
No, that was me getting the mic out of the video.
So yeah, but
Yeah,
it was quite the learning experience, and we created several things, several teaching events that day.
good. Sounds like it was very successful too.
It was a lot of fun too. People
Yeah.
were really got engrossed in it, and then everybody had to go home and write things down for their level three teaches.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
That's why they got to carry one of these around with them at all times. I
Well, they
I
actually
pulled
went
this
in
out
for
in my
lunch and they
PSI
pulled
clinic
out,
and
they
they
were
were like,
typing notes in their phones and that.
yeah.
It
Well, I
was
mean, the
kind of
phones
funny,
work
but it
too,
was
but
cool. So
I
yeah,
this is
we were had a
permanent to
good
me.
time with it.
Yeah.
So we don't have a lot open, so you get really bored, making the same turns all the time. And I said, "Oh, the hell with this." I was getting bored, so I said, "Let's play," and started them down this path. And next thing I know, this thing just kind of grew on its own with everybody giving a starting point, and then as a group, we would create a progression out of it using whatever.
Yeah.
Variations in dirt, variations in how we might start the turn, variations in movements, or break things down into individual movements. We also did things like play with wedge wiggles,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the dreaded wedge wiggles.
the dreaded wedge wiggle.
So, all right, cool. Thank you, Mike. I don't really have much to contribute. I gave one lesson last week. I've only taught a couple, and the other one was a 13-year-old um, child, a boy with Down syndrome, but he was a really high functioning Down syndrome. Matter of fact, he kind of tickled my Asperger's more than he did anything else, because his ability to spider web was a crazy. But I'll leave that for another day. I'll be back teaching this weekend, so I'll have some more to contribute to. Hopefully, the rest of you will get on snow and you'll be able to contribute also. Because I think, getting the idea of how we can visualize these things is a great warm up for us Dion and I were talking last week about the success that we feel like you're having, and we've honestly feel that your ability to visualize it without having a visual aid is one thing that's kind of putting you over the top right now in your descriptions. So, I mean, there's only so many movement patterns out there, and they all kind of, the reason why we call them patterns is they all look the same after a while. You know what I mean? So, how
Mhm.
many of you guys watched our video this week? Because we're going to start talking about them. Oop.
Glad you brought up pattern, Chuck. Everybody that I was skiing with for this little clinic we had all decided everything we did was tremendous pattern breakers.
Yeah, well, that's the point, right? We're trying to beat up we're trying to make a new pattern. We're not trying to stick with the old one, or we're trying to supplement the pattern we already have. So, anyway, this was the video that I sent you earlier yesterday. Skier, for those of you who don't know, this is like one of the back bowls of the infamous back bowls in Vale. So it's a fairly steep terrain. And then, I gave you a series of questions. What was the task? Was the task successful? And
Well,
I know.
the task that's listed there is variable, so I'm assuming it's just
Mm.
parallel skiing or just basic variable terrain, right?
Yes and no.
Well,
This
because
is this is where we got
my
to kind of read the IDP a little bit, right?
my
Especially,
point being, if that's variable, I think it's a fail.
cool.
If it's
Why?
variable terrain, because there's not enough variation to what she's doing. You know, right? You're supposed to make different shape turns, different radius.
They're supposed to be different sized turns, aren't they?
Yeah,
It can't be
different radius.
just like a ever expanding funnel of bigger and bigger turns.
Well, I see. I guess the biggest thing I saw in this, I mean, she's skiing well.
Sure.
She's skiing well. So I'm not to take anything away, but I'm looking for, okay, well, what is it I see that I would like to see different? And most of her turning happens at the beginning. She's got a quick start and a fairly short shaping and a really, really long finish.
But Scott, it's really steep there.
Well, that's my point. So it's steep. She's on an expert run,
Hmm.
but she's using that long finish to control her speed instead of the turn shape.
Cool.
She's got a very short turn and then a very long finish. So,
And they just
so
keep getting longer. It's like a reverse funnel, right? It's like
right,
I got a couple
right,
of short turns and then they keep getting longer and then longer and then longer and then longer as she's
Mm.
struggling, obviously, to contain the speed and the pressure,
right. And
right?
that's how she's controlling her speed is with that long finish.
Right.
And
No,
she's doing a good job of it, but I would like to see it more, her control the speed more through a longer, more consistent turn than having a long finish.
all right. So we talked about tactics. Now tell me about body performance, ski performance thing that, the stuff we're supposed to talk about. And I agree with you. That to me is a fail. You're supposed to do a combination of medium radius, short radius, and maybe some
Right,
long radius turns. You're supposed to
right,
show that versatility and adaptability piece that they want, especially here in the Rockies, right? We have to show
right,
that.
right. So she has just in terms of well, let's see if I can talk about ski performance.
Hmm.
Um, so probably her first turn is probably her best turn right there
Hmm.
of all of her turns because she's got good edging, good angulation. She engages the skis above the fall line. and she has some good angulation. Um, so the ski performance, she's got the skis are mostly parallel. The skis are both guided simultaneously into the turn. They're tipped slowly and progressively. However, they reach a high edge angle late in the turn and stay on a high edge angle through the finish. So I'd like to see from an edging perspective, I'd like to see her get on the get on the edge earlier in the turn and progressively increase it. And as she comes through the finish, I'd like to see her reducing the edge angle so that she is in a better position to start the next turn earlier rather than having that delayed long finish.
Okay. How is she going to do that?
Um, so the way she's getting on her edges is she starts with a kind of an inclination move, and then she does start to create some angles, but about middle of shaping, she starts to be more inclined and she loses her angulation. So she tends to get stuck because at the end of the turn, she's too inclined and too heavy on the inside ski, and that results in her prolonged finish. So I'd like to see her use more angulation. I'd like to see she does at the end of her turn, her upper body rotates, so she's across the hill, so she's stacked over her skis. So I'd like to see her maintain that counter, which will help her keep more angulation and let her use her legs more for the turning. I don't know. This is getting long-winded, Chuck.
But Scott,
What?
you mentioned earlier that the top of each turn is rather quick and the bottom of the turn is rather late.
Right.
Let's relate that back to edging. Tell me how it differs from the top of the turn to the bottom of the turn in terms of edging. Don't worry, I'm
Well,
coming
she's
back to counter.
right.
Because
Okay. I
now that
know.
you've mentioned it, I have a
Right.
whole new encyclopedia volume that I could pull out of the rack and start talking
Right.
about.
Right. Right. So she starts with to start tipping her skis,
Hmm.
she moves her upper body to the inside of the turn. Okay, I'd rather
Cool.
see her start with
Mhm.
her um, feet and legs in the tipping. And again, have that counter at the start of the turn to allow her to do that.
What is she doing now instead?
Hip dump, inclination,
Yeah,
park and ride.
Park and
right.
ride for sure.
Yeah.
But how is she achieving edge angles early in the turn?
Well, she inclines.
Right. Okay.
Basically she
No,
tips.
stop. She just tips in.
Right. She tips in
Okay.
and she does have some long leg, short leg stuff going on at the start of the turn. It's actually pretty good, but she loses that. After the beginning of the turn, she loses that long leg, short leg as she gets more inclined.
Well, now you're introducing a second fundamental.
I know well, know, we need all of them.
We need all of them. Uh-huh. Okay, cool. I'm not disagreeing with anything you say.
Right.
I'm gonna pick on you about the ski edging thing. Okay. So let's go back to the transition. How is she getting off the old edges into the new edges? And
Well,
feel
she has an
free
extent.
to kind
She
of,
extends she extends both legs to lighten up Go ahead.
No, 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 no. Keep going.
She extends both legs to get the skis light so she can tip them because she's kind of stuck because she's inclined at the end of the turn. So she uses kind of an upward extension of both legs
Hmm.
to lighten the skis, and that allows her to kind of tip her whole body in. And she does shorten the inside leg and lengthen the outside leg to start.
So, no, I'm going to be picky on you in this one. How does
Okay.
lightening the skis enable her to tip the skis? Or are they not necessarily related?
Well, I guess what I'm trying to explain is I think she's a little bit stuck at the end of the turn because she's
Sure.
inclined.
No, 100%.
Okay. So she because she's inclined, she's got to get herself going in the other direction. So
Right.
the only way she can do that is to extend her legs.
Hmm.
She can't tip them the other way because her upper body's inclined up the hill. She can't do
All
it.
right. All right. Anybody want to bail Scott out?
I want to take a shot at
Yeah,
something he
go ahead.
said that triggered an idea.
Right.
As
Okay.
she's pressuring the skis and comes out at the end of the turn, there's an acceleration of the skis in which she takes advantage of the forces and is able to transition as she lightens the skis and transitions to the next edge.
Cool. But I don't think it's necessary. I mean, we're going to
I don't
stick
think
with
it's
edging.
bad. I think this
No,
is
no,
great
no.
skiing.
You're right. But I think what we're getting steered towards is this idea of pressure when we're really talking about edging. And the idea that she's extending also does one thing to the skis. So when she extends along the length of the ski, what does that do in terms of edging?
It decreases the edge.
It decreases the edge. It flattens the ski, right?
I guess I was interpreting as lightening the ski was the way she
Yeah, it
was
does that too.
transitioning. So yes, it has
Yeah,
to
don't get me wrong. I
flatten,
mean,
but
they
they're
do, but they're
light.
not necessarily related, right? What she's trying to do is flatten the skis so she can start tipping the other way. In terms of edging, if we're going to silo these things, yeah, that
Okay.
that extension piece, which looks like it should be a fore aft and a foot to foot thing, yeah, but it also flattens the skis. Allows her to flatten the skis. Allows her
But
to start
can
moving to the other side.
can you address the forces of when as her skis accelerate under her, she's able to stay on top. She's able to keep relative pressure under the boot that when
Yeah,
the skis begin to she's able to transition quicker. So it goes the flattened skis are it's quick. It's not.
yeah. No,
Does that
you're
make
right. I'm
okay?
not going to disagree with you. Okay.
Mm.
But like I said, I want to kind of keep this in the terms of edging because Scott brought that up. We can look at the other fundamentals too. Don't get me wrong, but
They relate, yeah.
we're in the edging piece,
No,
right?
I like where you're going, Chuck. So that she's extending to allow herself to flatten the skis.
Yes.
She extends her body that it puts her in a position she's now able to flatten and start to tip the skis in the other direction.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
But the key is now we're going to go back to this other piece because we don't just incline, but we also angulate. I saw you, Mike, pop on. He's getting ready. We've teed him up. He's getting ready to but we don't have just inclination, right? We also have angulation.
Yeah.
So the thing that I want to point out to you is that Scott said that there's not a lot of angulation except at the end of the turn. And we would like to see more angulation at the top of the turn. But we haven't really described how, from a body mechanics piece, that allows her to do it. Because if we just tell her, I want you to angulate more at the top of the turn, she's physically incapable of because of the way she's using her body right now.
Right.
Does that make
Well,
sense?
that's where the counter comes in, right?
Okay, so talk to me about the counter.
Well, in order to be able to
Yeah, B body
basically rotate,
part, B body, blah, blah, blah,
right.
B
In
body
order to
part
in
specific.
order to be able to rotate your femurs and your hip sockets,
Right.
you need to be in a strong disciplined position with your upper body. And
And
when
it seems
she's
like she's in a strong and disciplined position.
at the end of the turn, though, she's stacked across the hill
Okay.
so that her her upper body is aligned and she doesn't have any of that anticipation that allows her to tip her rotate her femurs to tip the edges into the new turn.
Okay. So I like anticipation, that
Mhm.
idea of anticipation release. I
Right.
would like you to explain that to me in body part specific terms.
So, okay, to have anticipation, basically at the end of the turn, her her torso is pointed somewhat downhill
Well, there's some
while
other
her
part that's supposed to be part of the torso. That's the problem, child, here.
your hips,
Well, the hips are very is kind of
your
specific,
your
but
torso,
there is something else that's a little bit more specific. That's part that you could call the hips, but there's
You mean the
a bone
pelvis?
structure that's around the hips,
The pelvis.
the pelvis.
oh,
Yes.
okay.
Don't just say hips. Always talk
Okay.
about the pelvis part. What
So the
happens to the
pelvis,
pelvis when she
and
extends at the top of the turn?
right. So the pelvis should be pointed somewhat downhill
Right.
initially, which creates that built up tension in your legs. So when she starts that extension, she'll be able to very easily rotate her femurs and her hip sockets towards downhill to turn the feet and legs rather than since her upper body's already pointed there, she's starting that rotation with her feet and legs, and that allows her makes it much easier for her to move her knees and ankles, right? To tip the
Yes.
skis.
But she's in this is what happens at the extension piece. What happened to her pelvis here?
And when she extends, her pelvis moves forward.
Moves forward and she
Oh, forward and
was
down the hill.
she was in a relatively, yeah, probably not that great, but in a relatively better position there. And her pelvis was a little bit more open to the hill. But when she gets to here and she extends, what happens to the pelvis?
It's it's turning
It's turning which way?
downhill.
Is it turning downhill or is it turning uphill or
Or
across the hill
across
or
the hill.
squaring up?
Yeah. So she's not maintaining
So
counter.
are
She's
you
not
talking about
maintaining
at the
counter.
end of the turn? I thought
Uh-huh.
you were talking about at the beginning. Yeah, at the end of the turn, she squares up.
She squares up. And when you
So her
square
pelvis is
up,
turning across the hill.
because if I'm in this position here, it's really easy for me to move my legs. But when I square up like this, oh, I got something in the way,
Yeah.
right? So when she extends, now she's got this inside leg that's in the way. So that ability to tip is the lower legs is now gone.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
So that's why she's tipping, starting with her upper body.
She's falling into the turn,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And you can actually see it.
And that's why it's a quick move at the start.
It has to
Right.
be, right?
Yeah,
She has
she
no
goes from a
choice.
high angle to a high angle without really flattening the skis in between.
She's not patient enough and she hasn't put herself in a position where she can do this. It's really here and then here, right? Which is, in her case, she really wants that. Because this is a steep run, right? She wants to be in it as quickly as possible, but it doesn't allow her to be versatile and adaptable.
Mm.
Mike, now you can step in.
No, just some clarifications here.
Yeah.
People use hips a lot. And if you think about it, when you measure for clothes, you measure at the widest part, which is your hips. Agreed?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Biologically, your hips that you're measuring is the greater trochanter, technically. The greater
yeah,
trochanter is the head of the femur. So your hips are really not what you need to aim down the hill. The head of the femur is the leg steering.
yeah,
So kudos to Chuck for forcing people to deal with the pelvis
yeah,
or use the big bone blades. I think that's the ischiums there, or
yeah. The iliacs,
iliac
the
crest. Yeah.
iliac crest, the
Yeah.
big
Work with them because
wishbony
that's
things. Yes.
defining the pelvic girdle itself,
Yeah.
which is a round bone that we try to keep level so we don't spill the really expensive wine out of it as we ski down the hill.
Right.
So the other thing that the concept that's being missed in the description is, do you guys agree to make a turn? We've got to move the center of mass forward and down the hill. Can you turn without moving your center of mass?
This is not a trick question.
Well, we know to make good turns, you got to be moving your center mass has to be inside your turn from turn to turn. So
So,
Yeah.
yes or no, do we have to move our center of mass to turn?
do we have to? I'd like to
Well,
try
yeah.
not doing it and see if I could do it.
Well,
Remember, we're going to go from this set of edges to this set of edges. Can it be done without moving your
No,
center of mass?
no. Yeah.
no.
That's part of the
Okay, so that being said, if you watch the extension, which you guys had, both legs extend at the same time, don't they?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what is another way? Okay, so as a result, they extend at the same time, so the only way to move the center of mass is they got to incline. Everybody agrees with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what is another way to flex and extend the legs to move the center mass forward and down the hill and limit the whole body inclining or the banking at the start of the turn there?
Flex the inside
Retraction.
leg and extend the outside leg.
There you go.
Yeah. Well,
And
that's a
that's
common
kind of going
thread.
where Joanne was kind of going with that idea
Yeah.
of moving the center of mass so that you can resist against the forces by
Yep.
doing this instead of, this,
Yep.
which is what she's
So
doing.
shorten the inside leg at the same time you extend the outside leg.
Well,
But
that's your,
remember, and the key to this is that we can do extension, we can do retraction, we can do a combination of the two. Just because she's extending does not mean that it's a bad thing. It's how she's extending and what it's causing her to do, right? Because technically, what she's doing is she's extending both legs at the same time. But when she
Mm-hmm.
does that, she's not moving down the hill as much as she's moving kind of forward and squaring her up.
Mm-hmm.
And the real key for me on her, this is where I give you kudos because this is the first thing I saw when I looked at this when I was like, ooh, I wasn't sure anybody was going to notice this right off the bat, was about edging and her inability to edge with the lower legs because she blocks herself. She
Mhm.
has the inside leg moves forward. Watch at the top of the turn how the inside foot moves forward.
Mhm.
And when an inside foot moves forward, now you've blocked yourself and it makes it really, really, really hard to tip the lower legs. You can, but your range of motion just turned into like nothing, right? This is a really good one right there. That's square. And then notice how the front foot really moved forward, right? So there's kind of this switch thing that's happening at the top of the turn, but it's like extend and then switch and then drop instead of extend, holding this foot back, and then this allows you to tip.
Hmm.
If she wanted to keep extending with both legs, if she could extend with direction, that is forward and downhill versus just extending forward and trying to tip, that would pull her skis into the turn. And even with an extension, it would look completely different than this.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's add one more fundamental in there just because we can. Somebody talk to me about rotation, so other than Scott. Scott, we've unfortunately have I feel like we buried him in the coals a little bit. We're gonna have to let him cook a little bit.
No, but that's good. That's good for me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, what I've really impressed about is Scott is that I know when you're struggling because you start adding words in. But when you and then all of a sudden it was like counter, rotation, anything, please bail me out. But you're not like you used to be. You know, a lot of us have really commented how you're not like you were last year, where it was like this giant word salad of stuff and none of it was really connected together. You're
Yeah.
starting to find the pieces
Mm.
and you're getting much clearer and a lot more concise. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So,
I still need a lot of work though.
No,
so now
no.
we
I
got
mean,
a chunky word salad.
yeah, we
Yeah.
just got, I knew where you were going. I knew what you're trying to say. Um, and that was fine. I like that. Okay. Anybody want to talk about rotation with this person or any of the other fundamentals,
Well,
including if you want to talk about
well,
pressure
there's a
management?
quick rotation, and then the rotation. I mean, I'm a neophyte, but the rotation looks like it's basically stops after that quick move at the beginning. She's just sort of riding the ski until she inclines to the other side, and there's another quick rotation.
So where is the rotation coming from?
Upper body,
Yeah. What do you see move first?
her shoulders.
Yeah, she kind of flips to the other side.
Specifically, which shoulder? Not right or left, but inside or outside.
Her
Her
inside.
inside shoulder.
Yeah.
Does what specifically?
She throws it back into the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people can drive that inside shoulder forward, which will help them maintain counter.
Yeah. So
So that's why I asked.
for extra credit, can you tell me how that upper body rotation is related to her ability to counter?
It decreases her ability to counter because, like Scott was
Well,
saying, she
which is
maintains
let me put it this way. Which is it first? Which is it first? Is it the lack of counter or the upper body rotation?
the upper body rotation
Okay. Why?
because she's not moving her legs independently from separately from her upper body, from the stable upper body.
Cool. She's not really rotating her legs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's kind of, somebody said already, a park and ride situation.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And when
She
I
doesn't
slowed
really
it
rotate her
down,
legs.
you could see her hip moving to the inside. And
Well, and that I think is related to that idea of moving the inside ski forward too early in there
mhm,
instead of holding it back and allowing this to happen at the same time this happens. I think they're strongly related, right? Because
mhm.
she's at the top of the turn, she's in the initiation phase. Because there's this, because she moves this forward and blocks herself, it makes it really hard to A tip or rotate independently. Matter of fact, she's even more stuck now. So now she has to use an upper rotation to help her start the skis going the other direction.
Mhm.
If she kept that foot back, that would allow independent rotation and independent leg tipping, lower leg tipping. You understand? I know you
Yeah.
almost have to be
Yeah.
on skis to really kind of feel it and understand that, but as soon as you do, it's like, ooh, cool. I could do these things by maintaining counter. There's a reason why they put it as a common thread. They didn't
Yeah.
chisel it into stone as a law, but it might as well be. You shall maintain counter through to transition.
Musician.
Gumby, you've skied those back bowls of Vale, and it's a lot steeper than what it's showing
Oh,
here.
this doesn't even give a clue to how steep they are. Yes.
Yeah, and if you're on that variable terrain, because it's usually kind of chunky and it
Hmm.
always looks better than it is, especially when it's skied out like this. So,
Hmm.
you know, I think it's a pretty effective way, other than the foot, coming forward on the inside turn or the
Yeah,
inside foot. It's a pretty effective way to get down in those kind of conditions.
it is and it isn't, right? I mean, the problem is that, all of these are clues about your general skiing. She probably does the same thing on piste too. And we would probably see that in her basic parallels. We'd probably see it in her regular skiing and her short
Mm.
turns. We're going to probably see all these things because this is just how she skis, because this is her understanding, you know? And what we need to do is we need to change her understanding that because she doesn't maintain counter in the transition, all these other things are a lot harder now. And it's making her turn quick because she has to add rotation and inclination in order to start any turn.
And she has when she's has a the inside ski leading, it creates that divergence you see in her skis at
Yeah,
times.
yeah, yeah. Well, and that's just because she's trying to be more two-footed in this stuff, right? Because she doesn't feel like well, I mean, that's again that kind of chicken or egg thing, right? Because she doesn't really maintain counter throughout the turn, her ability to pressure the outside skis kind of compromised too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anybody got any questions? Hey, Benj, how you doing, buddy?
I do. I see no problem with the lead of her uphill ski,
I
but
think
can
she's doing a
you
pretty good job of
clarify
it.
for
Yes.
me?
Yeah.
Right, like there's an intention on a steep terrain to have a lead because you're preparing that leg to transition to the next turn. So it's
Hmm.
in a good position to transition. But my question is, how does that uphill lead relate specifically to hindering rotation?
And it comes back to that question of independent leg rotation or not. Because we can either rotate as a unit or we can have independent leg rotation. But if
So
we
I just want
block,
clarity with the language, if you could explain that.
okay, yeah, yeah. So because here, let me try to show it graphically here, okay? Let me get her in that real transition piece right there, okay? Go back a couple here. All right. See how quickly that inside leg moves forward?
Can you
Okay.
can you zoom in on it?
I don't know if I can do that. That's a good question. No, not really. Here, let's get her down here a little closer. Actually, right when she comes in, there's one turn which is pretty obvious. That one is pretty obvious too, but Jen keeps zooming out. All right, watch this turn here. Notice how the skis square up, almost the toes are together. And then when she gets to this part, notice how
Stop
that
there,
inside ski.
Chuck.
Yeah. So
So
that
when she
inside ski
gets to
moves.
that part, she's pushing that inside ski forward. Where are her hips aiming?
To the inside of the hill.
Are they? Her
Well,
hips are aiming to the outside of that turn, aren't they?
Yeah.
wait.
They should be aimed more at us
So
and
that's
less.
related to the rotation, Mike, right? That's where I'm going
Yeah.
with the
Yep. When you
Yeah.
shove
clarification
that
of that
inside ski
piece. That's what
forward,
I want. Yeah.
she gets this weird thing that happens with her pelvis.
Yeah.
And the pelvis is aiming towards the outside of the turn.
and her leg is compensating it because it's pulling it forward. And so what happens is she's in position, so everything catches up very rather quickly, and that's where she squares. Do I
Yes.
have that right?
Yes. But the squaring of her hips inhibits her ability to do this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because now
Okay.
she's got to do this, right?
Yeah,
She's
it
got to
sort of
get
has
the
to,
hips started turning again. If she was open, the hip would already be a little bit down the hill, and all she's got to do is twist her
right.
legs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's no different than the tipping part, because when she's in this position here, it's really, really hard for her to tip her lower legs
Yep.
because the inside leg literally blocks your ability to tip the outside leg.
Well, that's why
She
she
has
uses her
locked
inside
herself into
shoulder, right?
inclining to make this turn.
Yeah,
It's
so that's
all
why
it's
her
all related,
inside
Joanne. Yeah.
shoulder, right, is
Yeah,
going
it's all
down because she's
related.
using her body,
Yes, 100%. That's why she inclines. That's why she uses a
that
upper
shoulder.
body rotation. She has no choice. She has to.
Okay, clarify me again what you just said about, so I understand, how the hips are pointing to the outside. And she goes from this to, okay, I get that, forward. I'm looking for the
Right,
step after that.
right. She's actually not in a bad position here.
No, no, I don't think so. I'm just being
If
like,
she
I want to be
literally
specific.
maintained this through the transition, she could she could start tipping the inside knee
Yeah, but
and
she's
she could
got no
start twisting
counter
the
there.
inside leg.
She's got no counter there though, Chuck,
Right.
right?
Well, she has a little bit. I mean, these are really, really long turns, right? She has a little bit of counter there, and you don't need a lot of counter. But what happens is she moves that leg forward, like right there. Her
Yeah.
And
toes
you
are
can see
almost
her
even.
hip going the opposite direction of her turn at that point.
And
Yeah. So it's weird. Okay.
yeah, so it's twisting out or uphill.
All
Well,
right.
now
Next
it's got to
step.
start going the other direction again. She's got to figure out how to get that thing going the other direction because
And
she squared it up this way. Now I got to get it going this way.
So, Mike, when you're saying, because when the inside ski is starting to lead
Mhm.
and she's starting to, it's almost like and she's dropping the hip there. You're saying it's to that the hip is moved. You said to the outside of the turn, but then Chuck just said it's going uphill.
Yes, that's the outside of the turn.
Yeah, she's turning it. Her
Wait,
hips
I
were
gotta
slightly
get
open.
situated. Which way she's turning here? She's
Yeah,
coming.
her
Her hips
left
are
for this turn coming up, her left hip should be her left pelvis, left part of her pelvis should be leading, not the right. She's going to do a right turn, and she's trying to do it with her right pelvis leading.
Oh, I see. Now her pelvis is pointed to the outside of the
Yep.
turn. I
yes.
see what you're
So the
saying.
only way she can turn, the only way she can get on edge and turn is to steer the body and incline.
An incline now, as she's coming around, though, the hip is faced uphill.
Oop. Yes.
Which gives that appearance of like the beginning of like a hip dump where she's blocked with the inside ski leading,
Yes.
Hmm.
which
Yes.
inhibits her ability to be able to tip her legs and rotate her legs because
Yeah.
she's
She's just
blocked,
not.
as Chuck just said.
Yes. Yes. She's not hip dumping, but she's really close to doing it, right? That would be the
Okay.
next natural thing for her to do. I need more pressure, so I'm going to incline and really twist that hip and lock it so that I get a lot of pressure on the outside ski.
This is a classic example of roto banking.
Roto banking.
Roto banking.
Hey, you know what? A few years
Makes
ago, this
sense.
was
Yeah.
acceptable.
There's a lot of old racers that used to ski that way.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right,
But
cool. It
think
is
about from,
8:03.
place those hip movements for your skiing right now. How could you make a turn if you know about counter, you know about anticipation, and if you're going to turn to the right, how how comfortable will you be if you're leading with your right hip versus leading with the left hip?
All
Not
right,
very. You
cool.
might actually favor more weight on that ski, and that's not where you want it necessarily, right? Am I
When you
right?
shove it forward, it'll probably shove your weight to the other
Yeah,
foot
that's
momentarily.
momentarily. Yeah, so that's not a great position, but
And you got to have some weight on that outside ski to roll
right,
into the new turn.
right. Okay. But I still think this is really good skiing for this terrain.
No, this
She's
is,
in
don't get me
control. It's
wrong.
very smooth. It's
We are, when we start talking about these high level twos and these really level threes, we are starting now nitpick. We're just, we could get better performance, and with the idea of being flex or more adaptable and versatile, that's what the goal by then is, right? I mean, that's what we want us to be able to do. We cannot, I mean, when we're talking about our guests, like last week, I mean, it's very obvious because of all the things that are happening. We could pick one or two things, and these are the things we're going to work on because this is really, really obvious. When we get to the level two exam and the level three exam with your peers, now we're starting to get, these little itty bitty things are going to be the differences, right?
Do you
As
think
you in,
that the width of her skis, the distance of her skis apart has anything to do with her ability to rotate or inability to rotate? Like if her skis were a little bit further apart from each other, do you think that would aid and facilitate her ability to independently rotate her legs or
well, blah, blah, blah. Those peggy things at the end of her hips, right? Because I can't say legs for some reason, they do move in and out at transition. So I think she's because of the way that she's using rotation and edging to, and because she has a limited ability to manage how she angulates, makes it she has to spend more time trying to manage the foot to foot pressure, and that really relates back to the magnitude.
Yep. And you
And
guys are asking good questions. You're
yeah,
starting to delve into the physics of skiing with your
yeah,
questions right now.
yeah, my question is more about her, like if her feet were farther apart from each other on a
yeah,
more
yeah, yeah.
Right?
consistent
But
way,
if it
would
gets
that
further apart, then you've got
aid?
two individual platforms, either of which could sub.
Right.
So when we're skiing in softer snow and that, we tend to ski a little narrower.
We want to be narrower because we want to turn more as a unit, even though there's still independent leg motion. Does that make sense? I know what you're, I know kind of where you're going with this, Joanne.
Well, you just
Um,
hear a lot about your skis are too, you might ski with your skis too closer, so you're inhibiting an ability to rotate your legs more efficiently. But also I wonder if in steeper terrain, did I just hear you say in softer terrain, yes, you want your
yeah,
skis a little closer, but this isn't necessarily powder. This is just variable
it's variable
conditions.
terrain. Yeah, but you
Yeah,
still, the speeds that she's going, she still
at the
has to
speed.
manage that pressure. And it's a lot better and easier for her to do that through edging and rotation. And then we're really talking about high level stuff now. So I don't want to confuse you. It'd be easier for her to be able to do that through pressure and edging than it would be to try to do it through independent leg extension I mean, you want to use them all, but her ability to manage the pressure through the tipping piece, the angulation, and maybe rotation would help her a lot more.
She would
Really,
be,
really high level stuff.
if she would start to get over the outside ski more, it wouldn't so much bring her skis this way. They'd stay about here, but what it would do is it would give this kind of a displacement. And
Yeah.
that would help with her ability to balance. But if you go from here and you get them wider, you run the risk of one or the other ski subbing. In her case, it would be this one.
All right, Tom, you had a question too?
Yeah, when I watch her, one thing that strikes me is that her inside hand and shoulder are dipped lower than the
Yes.
outside.
That tells you she's banking slash inclining.
It makes it almost impossible to keep your upper body facing down the hill.
It really, really does. It really, really does. And we could say it vice versa too. Because she is inclining and banking, it makes it really hard for her to angulate.
Right, exactly.
Lateral. She's not able to work laterally very well. Not
Is
a lot
that
of
when
lateral
Mike was
separation.
just saying it would be better if she aligned her center of mass more over the outside ski?
It would be better for her to do that, but how she's doing it now is kind of compromised because of this losing of counter in the middle of the turn in the middle of the transition. Now you're starting to see the relationships. All right, let's move on. I got two breakout rooms, and we'll push through.
I gotta bug out. Sorry about that, guys. But
But
Haven't
Joanne, you're the
we-
only
I
female
know, I know.
here.
Haven't we?
well, oh well. This is getting close to my bedtime. I'm lucky I'm up past 9.
All right, thank you,
until
and we'll
next
see you
week.
next week. All right,
All right,
Thanks,
thank you,
Joanne.
guys.
Great questions.
great questions. So,
So haven't we beat on this individual enough, Chuck, to have
we
a
have,
breakout
and
room?
Mike, if you notice, I put a link in your chat so you can run one group, I'll run the other group. You're looking at the first skier because there's 3 skiers there, and I'm going to be looking at the third skier. Cool. You ready?
The first skier.
Yeah. Yep. You're looking at the first skier. Yes. Ready?
Gotcha.
Go. Hello. That's a very fancy room that you're in, Leonard.
That's the dining room of my previous house.
No, man, no, that's the drawing room of your previous house, isn't it?
That's the dining room,
The
actually.
breakfast nook.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and share, and we're looking at this skier. We're not looking at this skier. We are going to be looking at this skier.
Okay.
Another Gen Net special. And all I want you guys to do is this is pretty high level stuff. So tell me what you see.
Short terms on a intermediate groomed run.
I think they're a little
Dynamic.
bigger. I think they're a little bigger in short turns.
Are they?
Medium
It's
radius.
kind of jerky, so it's hard to tell.
Now, let me shrink it down a little bit. First of all, I don't know why I got skiers on the side. Let me shrink it down a little bit. Get better internet.
Eh,
Right.
I'm
All
at
right.
a hotel. I can't change my internet.
And talk to me about what you see.
I see carved turns. I see skis um, edging above the fall line simultaneously. And great lower leg angulation.
Inside hand is dropping below the outside hand.
Is that
Sometimes.
necessarily a bad thing?
He's got a very disciplined upper body. Good leg turning.
Okay. So let's go to the common threads because the common threads are useful indicators, right? So we
Skis
have
stay on the
our,
stow. Skis are guided simultaneously into the turn.
right?
Counters maintained through transition,
Is
and
it?
torso is stable. He's
Yeah.
got all of them. I mean, that's good turning.
It's good
I,
turning. No, don't get me wrong. It's good turning, but is the counter maintained through transition?
I think so.
All right, let's see.
Well, maybe
It looks like it is there. Just,
What happened to the inside knee? Looks like it's slightly ahead of the.
uh-huh.
well, but I see him shortening his inside. I see what he's
No, no,
doing there.
no. This is really, really high level skiing. And he still manages to get a little. I mean, he's not doing it as bad as the other girl, right? Because he's getting a good amount of lower leg tipping,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But it's mostly from the outside leg. Matter of fact, it's almost entirely from the outside leg.
Yeah.
See, I don't see that.
So
I'm not disagreeing with you. I just don't see it. I see tipping of both legs.
which way is his upper body pointed now? Is it pointed to the
It's
apex of the next turn? Or is
No.
it pointed
no,
outside you?
it's more downhill.
Yeah, it's more
Yeah.
down the fall line.
Yeah.
But he's at his apex right now.
No, he's just starting the new turn because his apex is right there.
Mm.
Right?
But now his skis are at the highest edge angle, and they look to be
Yeah,
both high on high edge angles, corresponding edge angles pretty equally.
it is. That's really good skiing, isn't it? Because
So,
remember, we're now in the realm of talking about dirt. We're not
hey,
talking
Chuck,
about, oh, the obvious shit. We're talking about dirt.
I see his skis pointed somewhat across the hill there. I would consider this past the apex. So maybe
Well,
I'm misunderstanding
no, because
apex.
this is across the hill here, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. I said starting to turn across the hill. I think of the apex is when the skis are pointing downhill.
Hmm.
Well, when his skis get about right here, this is pretty much the apex. Because when we
Hmm.
get up here, this is the start of the
No,
turn.
that's not it, but yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
yeah,
Because this is still he's still in the transition here.
right,
And he
right.
does a really good job. Don't get me wrong. I mean, but there is a little bit of can we maintain counter better through the turn so that when we get to this position here, we're not parking and riding.
So he could drop his his right arm a little lower, which would help even improve angulation further.
Yes. It'd make him because look how that inside foot moves forward, right?
Hmm.
And now it's even. When are they supposed
So,
to be even?
Yeah.
After he tips his skis.
At apex.
at apex, yeah.
You should be fairly open. Well, I guess he's finishing the turn there, but that's not
Yeah.
very fair of me to do
Mm.
that to him. But in spite of the fact there is a little bit of a counter rotation where he's rotating his body over his outside leg instead of rotating the outside leg underneath him. And there it is. There's a
Yeah.
switch to one side to the other, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a switch from one side to the other. He's better on one side than the other, but this one's really, you were talking about that hip dumpy thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is like really, really close to hip dumping again.
Hmm.
So now we're talking about timing.
So Chuck, you're saying he needs more angulation in his inside leg or both of his lower legs?
I think he needs to hold that inside leg back more at transition because he's got quite a bit. Look how quickly it caught up, right?
Hmm.
I mean, He's not maintaining counter, and his body ends up pointing to the outside of the turns.
Mm.
And I would say,
Yeah, right there
normally
he's
in these kind of turns, who the fuck cares?
but right
Except,
there he's stacked, right?
yeah, except
Yeah.
for the one or the two little components that make it very, very important for level three. He has to be versatile and adaptable, which means at any point in time, he should be able to transition to a different kind of turn at any point, at any time, right? So if he went in and did this, and then the task changed where it was like lane changes, or you had to do 3 medium radius turns and then 5 short radius turns,
Yeah.
how would he have to adapt? Because the skiing should be the same, whether it's a long, medium radius or a short radius. And right now, what I'm seeing is,
Yeah.
yes, this is really, really good skiing, and it's really important that he is executing this particular style of turn very well. But if he had to transition from here to a short radius turn, that's not a position he wants to be in order to execute that short radius turn.
He hasn't been using, especially in this turn here with his rider, he's not using his pull for timing either. And so like he's letting his, he just barely used it there, but
Right.
when he came around, he's not, his right turn, he doesn't use it at all. He doesn't reach out. He doesn't allow his pole touch or so um, to be able to help the timing of
Right.
tipping and oh, now he's stopping.
Does this make sense, Scott? Now you see what's going on here?
I do, but I'm not sure I would ever pick that out. I
Oh, come on,
I
Scott. It's
I'm
so
just being
easy to
honest.
see, isn't it?
It's so
Are
easy to
you
see in
kidding?
these high level
It's
skiers.
so
It's
easy
so
to
freaking
see
obvious.
this.
What's the matter with you? I'm nearly drunk and I still see this shit.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's why we're doing it, right? And I picked out
Yeah.
skiers purposely because it's not easy to see because we sometimes get, oh crap, I just watched Pat come down the hill and that's really freaking good skiing. But unfortunately, the examiner is going to be unimpressed and we got to find something.
Well, the thing that's throwing me a bit, Chuck, is there's been a lot of discussion over the summer, and I've watched a ton of videos.
Right, right.
And you watch the Tom Gellys of the world, and when they're doing their stuff, they don't they've got counter, but they don't have a lot. When they're doing their big carved turns, their upper bodies, it's not square, but there's just a little bit of counter at the
There is
end
just
there.
where longer turns, you're going to have less counter
Right,
than you're going to have in shorter turns.
right.
Shorter turns, you got to have a lot of counter.
Well, and you made the point these aren't really short turns. So I'm like,
Yeah, yeah. These are more medium radius turns, but the skinny is that, and like I said, I mean,
yeah.
the
So
difference is can he take that same performance and do the exact same thing in shorter turns?
Mhm.
And he wouldn't be able to do it.
Well, we can see it. I mean, now that you've pointed it out, we can see
yeah.
that his upper body is not pointed in the direction of the next turn.
Yeah.
And this is where you were talking about this is counter rotation. His upper body is facing a separate
Yeah.
direction
So
from where his
in his particular case, what's happening is that when he gets to that transition, the body goes one direction, the skis start going the other direction.
yeah,
So it's a
okay.
very sophisticated way of starting a rotational movement of the skis going the other direction, even though
Mhm.
there's not a whole lot of rotational input in here because he doesn't really need it.
Hmm.
Because he's really relying on ski performance to help him make the turns.
The skis are turning the legs.
The skis are turning the legs. But in this transition part, what's happening is the body was facing one direction and now it's rotating to face the other direction.
Hmm.
Right? So he's coming out of the old turn. Watch how the body moves. Now it's moved to the other side. right? So he's rotated his body over his legs instead of rotating his legs underneath his body. And now he's in this.
Couldn't you call that almost like a mild hip dump right there?
It is a mild hip dump. Yes.
But he's got
100%.
counter there, right? You don't think he's got counter there?
He's got counter, but it's to the outside. We call it fake counter. It
Right.
So
mimics
you
counter.
right, you're right. So you want his zipper pointing more towards his skis and that where
No,
his skis are pointed
we
there?
want the zipper to be pointing more towards the inside of the turn. But what happens is the zipper starts pointing to the outside of the turn.
Right.
There it is right there. That's probably more of a hip dump than you're going to see.
But see, so I'm misunderstanding because I think with his torso pointing more downhill to the outs, which is the outside of the turn, I consider that to be counter.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, don't. You're right, Scott. Except there's different kinds of counter. Ideally, he should be pointed to the inside of the turn. His zipper should be pointed to the inside of the turn, but his zipper's pointed this way, and his
Wait,
skis are going in the opposite, going in another direction.
wait, so because I understand this confusion okay, so the zipper should be pointing a little bit more down the fall line when you say to the inside.
Yes. Should be pointing at the apex of the new turn.
Oh, pointing at the apex, which is
So
at a 45-degree angle this way, so to
right
speak.
there, it's kind of pointed to the outside.
It's pointed to the outside.
Wait, so
So
when
I
you
would
say
say
yeah,
he's over countered, got too much.
okay,
Too
so
much counter.
he's is that what you call the coiling?
I'd call it hip dump.
Okay.
I think hip dump's probably an extreme situation because hip dump is usually really overly countered to the outside of the turn in such a way that it straightens the outside leg.
Yeah, and I
You're
Mhm.
doing
wouldn't
a
call
good
that a
job of
hip dump
describing.
because he's got a lot of lower leg angulation there. So to
Yeah,
me, that's not a hip dump.
it's not a hip dump. But this side is not as good because you could tell right now that the zipper is going to the outside of the turn almost instantly.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Mhm.
All right. I think I follow you, Chuck.
Yeah. I wouldn't steer you wrong. I want you to pass, Scott.
Well, I do too, and I I feel like I'm a long way from it right now.
I've been
Mm.
there.
That's okay, Scott. I'm just trying to put this enough together to someday
Yeah,
get my
Yeah.
level two.
You never stop learning this stuff.
all right. Let's break this up, and who wants to speak about this guy?
I don't care. I don't know.
Cool.
I mean, I've been talking a lot, so that's why I'm keeping my mouth shut. But if you want me to
Okay.
talk about it, I will.
Well, you got 56 seconds to decide that Leonard's going to do it because he's just been listening along.
Oh my.
Okay.
Leonard, give it a shot, and we'll jump in if you want us
What am
to.
I gonna say?
Just speak about what you see and how it is affecting his ability to do stuff, even in kind of abstract ways. Okay. This is how we learn.
Okay, so this is a high level skier
Mhm. Doing medium radius turns on
doing
bluish terrain.
medium radius turns on bluish terrain. This is the same guy, right?
Yep, same guy. We're going to be looking at the same guy.
So his uh
Who wants to talk about the first skier? Is this the same skier you guys watched? And I'm gonna lie right now, and I'm gonna say that we only watched this 3 times instead of 3 dozen times, right? Because we're looking at a really high level skier now, and we're really nitpicking on those tiny little pieces. So anybody want to comment on this skier?
Chuck, I'll go.
Go.
So, and this is the only point that I noticed is there's not consistency from one turn to the other. It looks like there's a higher angulation on one side. He favors one side versus the other.
Cool. How is he doing that? And use it in roundabout terms. We're not looking for like really specific stuff. I know that you're just kind of just getting into this.
Yeah.
How is he
I was
getting more edge angle on one side than the other?
well,
And I'm going to assume that you mean this side is
yeah,
more
then the
than
other.
this
Yes,
side.
correct.
So how is he getting more angles on one side than the other?
He's using more angulation and inclination on his left turn, and he's using more inclination only, I should say, only inclination on his right turn.
Beautiful. Love it. Love it. And that's very clear and concise, right? Does everybody agree? We have both a combination of inclination and angulation. We got some lower leg tipping here. We got some inclination with the upper body. He seems to be well stacked. And then when he gets to this side, what happened?
A lot more inclined.
Yeah, he forgot to angulate.
Yeah.
And without kind of giving away the farm, can anybody explain why? Because there it is again, right?
I think it has to do with asymmetrical hill, as well as maybe he might just be stronger on one leg physically than the other.
I just I just noticed this, but I'm not sure. It's what we talked about before with one leg being not further, or it looks like it's hard to see from here, but it looks like they're kind of tip to tip in the same tip to tip.
Oh, I see what you're saying. There's a little bit
He's
of,
not bringing one back like we talked about what you talked about
yeah,
before, but tipping, it's
I
hard to
think
tell.
he's better than most, right? I mean, yeah, that's that whole idea of maintaining counter through the transition. I think it's a little bit different for him. He's not quite as bad as some others. And this, I think, is really, really related to dirt. And I'm going to give you a hint. It's probably in the rotation realm. Anybody? Anybody? Mike?
I mean, you asked a great question. Why are we seeing that? And I'm struggling.
I get it. It's a really, now we're like, oh my God,
Yeah,
I'm going to
he's
say something
very,
wrong. There is no wrong answer here at this
yeah,
point.
he's very, very asymmetrical.
Very.
He maintains his counter coming out of his right turn into his left turn, and then he squares up at the end of his left turn. As a result, going into his right turn, he extends tips, and you'll notice that that hip, like we looked at with the previous skier, is rotated to the outside.
Mhm. So the rotational separation on one side is deficient or not quite existing. So, and what I'm noticing is that outside left shoulder twists early in the turn in order to try to get him to kind of move. And I'm noticing that the outside edge, back edge of the outside ski of that outside left ski kind of twists around quicker than the tips. Yes?
And on the right turn, because he's so far inside, the left ski
Yeah.
drifts.
It's kind of weird. He always kind of stays more on the one side of the skis than the other, right?
You
I
know,
think,
it really
yeah,
looks to me like he's pushing out his outside ski. Both of his outside skis are like he's pushing his heel out.
Yes, and I agree with you. I think he actually pushes out his right ski more than his left ski,
Yeah, but he does
so he can
both.
create angulation. But his right ski or his left ski doesn't really get away from him far enough, and he ends up kind of having to do this to get the rotation part started.
Is it because he's coming across the hill though, and there's the asymmetry of the hill that's causing it?
I don't think it's much of the. I don't think that's. I've been on that run. It's pretty. It's not much of a. No, I think that's endemic in his skiing. I believe. I believe it is.
I think it's his left ski that gets pushed more than the right. And the
Okay.
reason I say that is on his left turn, he's got more angles forming, and that right ski tucks to the snow better than it does when he's turning to the right, where his left ski is leading and he's inclining. He doesn't have any weight on it, and that ski drifts more.
Benji, you're off of mute. You want to say something, don't you?
Oh, it's nitpicky, but he has two ponytails.
Well, that's the problem.
Hey,
If
you
you
know
would put
what?
it all together and chuck it on his left side, that would give him the angles he needs. He doesn't have
Okay.
enough weight on the upper part,
I
his
didn't want to
body.
give away the farm, but I think this is actually Jenny Lively.
Yeah. Um, the aside from that, just in general, there's a complete lack of femur rotation
Yeah.
on that inside right leg as they're making a left footer. So they're not building any edge. There's no angulation occurring in the lower legs. You guys pretty much hammered that home with it's mostly inclined turns, not a lot of edge building throughout it. So that's going to lead to the differences between the left and right turns overall. You have a lot more clear turn shape on those right footers. Left footers are more static and quick.
She's very quick on one side, isn't she?
Yep. She also likes to thrust that right ski ahead for that right turn.
Yeah. Well, it's just because
Yeah,
that's her favorite side. She
Yeah,
likes
but
one
it throws
ski.
that hip with it and it
Yeah.
aims in the wrong direction to make that turn.
She likes that one ski more than the other ski, right? It's almost like she doesn't
Apparently.
trust that. She doesn't trust her left ski at all to do anything. And she rides the inside ski almost consistently or that right ski almost consistently.
Yep.
David's getting a big kick out of this.
But but on the positive side, she is looking down the hill.
Well, you're gonna have to unmute, David. I know you got something important to say about her because
I
he
was
had to train with her
talking,
this.
it's what Mike, when I've skied with Mike, and Mike calls it the bastard side or the bastard turn.
Exactly.
Come on, you're giving away trade secrets, Dave.
one thing that I do notice, I mean, talking about rotation or going further with rotation, is fairly consistency, whether it's a left or a right turn. There is that break of the outside ski tail. So
Yeah.
there's a down stem overall.
Yeah.
And
Just a
it's right at that
little
down
bit
stem
of
that
a rotational
ski.
push off,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think that's related again to that idea that she's spending a lot of time on her right foot and not, you know, equally trusting both feet.
Well, is it equally trusting or is it actually a dominant, non-dominant side?
It could be without actually asking her, him, her, them. I couldn't tell you.
And
That this was definitely one of those was like, hey, do you feel like you're riding one ski more than the other? And it'd be like, oh, I don't know, maybe, sort of, kind of.
and though on the left turns, I do see that right ski tail drift a little bit. It's not on every turn.
Yeah.
So to me, that's not a pattern on those left turns where it's definitely a pattern on the right.
Yeah. And I can't knock Jenny. I mean, it took her almost as many times to pass her level 3 ski as it did me.
We can knock her, she'll knock us.
I know she will. By the way, she's one of the people who started this group, and she's also an RMT on the children's side. She's on ed staff. So we can poke fun at her all we want because this was 7 years ago.
Go, I know she passed her CRMT, but I didn't think she got on ed staff yet.
Oh, she hasn't gotten on ed staff? I thought she
She
did.
tried last year. I hadn't heard if she succeeded or not.
Well, it's gotten really, really political, so
It's getting a little on the political side,
it
and I'm
might be
thinking
time
they
for
don't like us older people either.
it might be time for Stacey Garris to kind of get lost. All right, so we have skier number 2. Talk to me about skier number 2. It's pretty good skiing. We only got 2 minutes.
Make it count.
So the skier is skiing on blue terrain,
Mm-hmm.
making medium radius parallel turns and creating edge angles initially. Tipping movements at initiation are occurring simultaneously. And as in the initiation in the shaping phase, the I was going to say the patient, so because that's what I
The
do
patient.
every day. Well, that's because what I do every day. It's like,
Right, right.
but anyway, the shaping phase, the um, skier is creating a counter rotating movement and dropping when he's dropping the hip, but he's creating a counter rotating movement and I don't know.
Cool.
And the skis are bending under his feet, but and then toward the finish of the turn, the edges are simultaneously flattening again. Could be increasing his angulation if he dropped his outside hand lower in the turn. Um, by so I'm trying to stay with edging here right now.
I
And
know
I
you
was
are.
also with rotation, with counter rotation there.
Well, yeah, you got there. So now we got rotation to edging, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be nice. I'm not gonna sick Mike on you because I know Mike is ready to just
Go ahead, Mike. Pounce on me with all your
he's
venom.
got his canines out. No,
Go ahead, Mike.
so this is what I want you to explain to me real quick. Okay, so he's got edging going on, and how is he edging like right there?
But he's edging through inclination.
Right. Why is he edging through inclination?
He's edging through inclination because he's not creating enough separation in enough independent leg
You already said it
action.
earlier. What was the thing that's causing him
Oh,
to
with
rotate?
counter rotation,
So the road. So how is
he's
the
over
counter
rotating
rotation relating to him and giving him the inability to rotate to edge?
because it's blocking him from
Well,
the
let's just say it this way. He's used up his range of motion.
he's used up his range of motion. He's having limited range of motion.
So he could angulate more if he didn't twist across the top, right?
And if he dropped his outside arm a little lower.
I'm gonna I'm
No.
I'm gonna just kind of like let's let that go.
Okay.
It's pretty high level skiing.
Yeah.
I think the
This-
key for us is that idea again, as we transition from one turn to the next, he's kind of blocking himself. So there's not a lot of lower leg rotation, even though he's not as extreme as the last girl was. And it's affecting his ability to tip the lower legs. But
Well,
this
this
is
is
really,
where.
really high level skiing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, when should he be tipping the lower legs? And what kind of ski performance is he getting?
We want to tip the lower legs at initiation.
Yeah. And he's starting to there, right?
Yeah.
But it's kind of like already in the apex before the tipping really happens. And it's mostly happening from the hips, right?
Yeah, he's dropping his hip.
And that's the problem is that he rotates to the outside with his upper body a little bit, which decreases his range of motion, his ability to rotate his legs
Right.
and
That's
tip
what
his
we were
legs.
talking about, a hip
Yeah, yeah.
jump. Yeah. Right.
Even though I didn't ever use the words counter rotation.
Okay.
I use that in freestyle.
Yeah. He does turn to the outside of each turn. More so on one turn than the other, which does restrict his ability to rotate his legs. As a matter of fact, can anybody tell me if he ever rotates his legs?
Or is
So Chuck,
Amy's
that
just sort
that
of
counter
parking?
rotation to the outside of the turn, that
Mhm.
promotes a hip dumping move.
I would be careful about saying counter rotation, but it is a form of counter rotation, yes. Because usually when we counter rotate, it's like body goes one direction, the skis go the
So,
other.
right, no, I know. So what are you calling that then?
Well, and let me give you a little bit deeper explanation.
He's over
So
rotated his upper body
he
to the
he
outside?
rotates his body over his pelvis or is over his hips. It's, you know what I mean? So the body rotates one direction to the outside of the turn, and then he tips in like this. Okay. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So, and the question I posed to everybody in our little group was, how is this versatile and adaptable the way he's skiing now? Because this is the consummate park and ride.
Mm.
He gets on edge, he puts it on edge, he dumps his hip just to deliver so slightly. Does he ever institute any leg turning? Does anybody see those front femurs rotate in hip sockets?
A little bit right at initiation, but
Right.
not much.
Well, I think I'm going to be honest with you. I think that's more of the upper body rotating over the top of the femurs and not the femurs rotating inside.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I can only make one argument where there is the slightest amount of femur rotation on the outside leg of the right turns.
Sure.
That's the only time. It's when that knee comes across, but he
Yeah.
also then not the count or goes into the more countered by position, but not through a countered movement.
No. No, and I agree with you, Benji. We're really kind of splitting hairs when we're just saying the blanket statement of, gee, I don't really think there's a whole lot of rotation of the legs at all in there. Well, I mean, there's going to be a little bit because you have to in order to angulate, right? We're going to have some femoral roll in order to get some angulation happening.
Mm-hmm.
And it's clear that he's getting a little bit of angulation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I only see it
that's
because the
not
knees come closer
this,
together.
right?
No, it's not that.
He's certainly, and this is the key point that I made in our group, which was if we had to do a medium radius turns into 5 short radius turns, how would his performance change? Would it change a
Three-
little bit or a lot? Could he do this doing short radius turns?
Wait, three medium into large radius or three medium
And
into
then
short
no,
radius?
into short radius.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood. I was like, it would be
Yeah.
easier for him to do it into large radius.
No,
He would struggle.
it'd be like a lane change or a
Yeah.
lane change, right? Do like 5 short radius into a medium radius. How would the performance change?
We'd
And
have
my
to have a
argument
lot
is
more quick leg rotation.
he would have to institute some leg rotation because right now
Right.
there isn't any.
He'd also have to have his skis talk to the snow a lot higher in the turn.
Yeah.
Because though he has edge angle via inclination at the start of his turn, there's not enough edge angle to actually communicate with the snow.
Yeah, and that's the problem when you're just tipping in, right? You're
Yep.
just
He's
inclining
also
in.
got that little
It's really slow
problem at
moving.
the end of his turns where he pushes that inside ski a little bit forward, which aims his hips in the opposite direction he wants to go.
Yeah. So, and we talked about this a lot. Where's the zipper pointing? Is the zipper pointing at the apex of the new turn, or is it pointed to the outside of the new turn?
Pointed to the outside.
Right.
Which zipper?
The
Jacket.
Because his
Okay.
jacket,
Shush, Mike.
he's getting some anticipation through the thoracic spine.
Right. Exactly. But the key is that the upper body, in my mind, the upper body rotated over the femur and the femur didn't rotate underneath the body. And that's making it difficult for him without, and again,
Yep. Watch his hip here.
there
See
it
how it's
goes.
aiming to the outside of the turn as he drives that right ski forward?
Yeah.
And now he's pointed to the outside of the new turn.
Yep.
Even
But
his
at the
little,
same time, the upper zipper is starting to aim down the hill.
yeah, so his little soldier was kind of pointed at us here. And now the little soldier's pointed
You're
away
assuming he
from us.
identifies as male.
I am assuming, yes.
I figured, probably sponsored by Snap-on Tools or something.
It's good skiing, right? But now we're like,
We're nitpicky.
we have to start nitpicking a little bit. And this is very park and ridey. And I really feel like because of what he's doing now with that rotation, that kind of that counter rotation piece where his upper body and his hips slide across and there's a lot of weirdnesses, his ability to do short radius or adapt to the terrain would be seriously compromised.
Thanks, Chuck. I've got to run.
All right. Thank you, Benji. Or is that
That's Dave.
Dave.
Okay.
All right, we're done anyway. Because my
Hey,
2 minutes just
Benji,
turned into
where are you
25
this
minutes.
year?
I'm over at Granby
Still?
still.
Okay.
How are
Yep.
things going at Granby, Benj?
Well, aside from more snow,
Well,
I wish we got to do more training with our new hires. They got 3 half days on snow. And then yesterday we had a new hire training a new hire or a new hire shadowing a new hire in a lesson.
Oh,
I'm
gee.
like,
that would have been rich.
yeah, I'm like, I have no say in this, first of all, because my say is let's not do that. But yeah, it's been a very interesting 2 weeks since opening.
I think it's been interesting for everybody.
Mhm.
However, you did send your best to us, so thank you.
You're welcome.
I got to meet a whole bunch of them. They were
Yeah.
awesome. And from what I could tell, they could ski. So
They can ski and they can teach.
yeah.
Yeah, no, we had I won't say a mass exodus, but we had a big purge when CJ left because CJ was kind of the cornerstone that held everything together.
No, you guys did a really, really great job of training them too. So, I hate to say that we're the rewarded from that, but we are definitely part of the people that got rewarded for that. So thank you very much. So
Well, maybe one day I'll end up back over there. We'll see. Once
oh,
I can
you
be back
will.
on snow, which
It's
might
20
be the end of
minutes.
January.
It's 20 minutes up the road, brother. Just come on over.
Once I can put my skis back on.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. All right.
What, did you try and trash yourself or something?
I tried to look cool while cutting a tree down and decided my ACL and both my meniscus were no good for me. So, yep, blew both of those out, had surgery. I'll be back on snow maybe around January 27th.
Well,
And just do my best wedge turns down a green run.
I'm rooting for you.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt.
Timberjacking is, though I had a lot of fun with it and I was never in better shape, it's also one of the more dangerous jobs I ever had.
Oh, it definitely is. And the sad thing is, I wasn't doing anything cool. I was just walking up to the tree.
Come
That's
on,
where I'm
you
at.
can do better than that. You were cutting the tree, a gust of wind came up, the butt bucked on you, and it tossed you backwards, and you tried to reclaim your balance and torque the knee.
And I saved the whole bus full of children at the same time.
And you didn't, and this chainsaw, you didn't even bend the bar on the chainsaw when the tree bucked up at you.
Oh
Exactly.
man. Yeah, no, that would be the icing on the cake.
Yeah. All right. I know we
Okay.
got a couple of questions. Anybody got any burning questions about what we talked about? Because that was really kind of very sophisticated stuff tonight. And I promise we're not going to go crazy like that again next week.
Are we looking at more level 2, level 3?
We're gonna tonight. They did such a good job last week, Benji, with like a lower level person that I decided to throw in some really high level people.
That
Because
makes
sometimes
sense.
we have to get past the fact that when we run into somebody who's a really good skier and might show up at our exam, right? And that's a person that we got to do MA on, that we are not intimidated into saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
That can actually look at them objectively and actually say something about them that's important.
Yeah.
So,
And even if it does look pretty, it might even just boil down to the dirt of what's going on.
and
Maybe
that
just
is
changing the
100%. You know, funny enough, you know what the highest rated video I have on YouTube right now
what.
was the one where we did Get Even More Dirty, and it was the guy who did from Ozone Skiing who did all those different videos.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he showed different ways to do the same task, and that one is just slayed on YouTube. It's viral, man. I've got almost 120 views on
Blowing up.
You
it.
know, this is just a suggestion or a thought,
Hmm.
but the level of the questions, people were starting to
Yeah, that was
talk
a
about some
yeah.
things that I think it might be worthwhile revisiting some of the physics here because the questions they were asking were moving into that realm, and without gaining some understanding in the physics of what was going on, it's going to be awful hard to answer the questions.
Yep,
On
exactly.
on the one hand, that's a positive thing that the questions have evolved to that level.
Yeah.
But because it is starting to move in there, we may have to touch bases with some of the physics of this.
Hmm. And I
I
thought
like
some of the
that.
questions were really, really good when they centered around, that these relationships that are being built. Why is counter important? Why the hell do we talk about counter today, right? And how that is affected by how it affects all the fundamentals. Because we talk about it a lot, and it's a buzzword
Because we were told to.
because we are told to, right? Because it says so somewhere in stone somewhere that we shall talk about counter.
And
Um,
never about magnitude.
and we don't talk about magnitude. We
Uh,
talk about grip, not magnitude. Um, so yeah, and we'll dive into that more this year. And I really want to pound home that the reason why counter is important is because it does make us more adaptable and versatile. It allows us to do things. It gives us the range of motion that we need. So,
Well,
any other questions? I'm gonna stop
counters
here.
directly related to the common thread of torso stability creates
It
lower body
does.
mobility and movement.
Yes.
You
Yes.
can't really have that without counter.
Yeah. 100%. You can't really have that without counter, and it's vice versa. Without the
Right.
stability, we really can't create counter. So, and it's just a different way of saying the upper body should be more stable than the lower body. The lower body should turn and move more than the upper body.